Hey guys, welcome back to For StarCraft 2 Strategy, your number one location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to counter an early game Cannon and Zealot wall-in from a Protoss player as Zerg. So this is basically a good, strong response to getting cheesed, more or less, from a Protoss player who's going to wall you in with some photon cannons and a couple of zealots, basically preventing you from pushing out with your Zerglings and preventing you from doing what Zerg needs to do in order to stay competitive, which is basically keeping your opponent in their base and keeping them on the defensive so you can mass expand. That's how Zerg thrives. That's how Zerg is most successful, by using speedlings and early game pressure to keep your opponent in their base, allowing you to expand to your natural and then push out further, get an economic advantage, and then just overrun your opponent. So again, this is going to be a response video, less so than a step-by-step strategy video. This is going to be what you do in response to your opponent forcing you into a rough spot. So as you can see, taking a look at the Protoss player, you got the pylon gateway early on, and it looks like they're going to be, after that point, they're going to be chrono boosting some zealots to the front of our base, trying to keep us in. We're getting a scout here. Now, just looking at the Zerg player, which is pretty standard opening, I'm going to be getting a spawning pool at 14, and then the extractor. Reverse from how I typically do it when I play Zerg, but there's nothing wrong with doing this. You're going to get the spawning pool, and thusly you're going to get lings up a little quicker, and you're just going to be a tad bit slower on the gas. That's the trade-off: either faster lings and slower gas, or more gas earlier and slower lings. He's going for the faster lings to provide some more early pressure, basically. Now with the Overlord here, our Zerg player has spotted that we do have a probe sitting right out as natural. The reason for this is twofold. As the Protoss player, it's going to stop the Zerg player from expanding early. Also, this is what he's going to be using to proxy in his pylon and photon cannon. So taking a look here at Protoss, you do see the forge going down, so he's clearly going for this build of trying to keep the Zerg player in his base. And we're going to see how exactly, as Zerg, you're going to be able to counter that. So again, everything's fairly standard so far for the Zerg player. He's just gathering early. We do see the Zealot in our base. Luckily, we've got some links coming out just right now at this moment. Going to be able to ward off that Zealot, stop him from pushing in any further. Now the Zerg player does see that this is occurring. He does see the pylon right here. It's far too early for a Protoss player to have warp gates, so he knows that that's not the case. So he's probably most likely going to be realizing at this point, it looks like I'm going to be getting some cannons at the front of my base. And then shortly thereafter, first cannon and second cannon both go down. So now this is kind of the response phase. This is what you're going to do to respond to what your opponent's doing and try to beat them in turn. We're going to be moving the Zealots forward. Now what we're going to end up seeing here, I'm just going to preface everything that's going to happen. We're going to see the aggression from the Protoss player. We're going to see the wall in, and what we're going to be doing as Zerg is we're actually going to be teching up to roaches and going to be getting a Nidus Canal, and then using a Nidus Worm to funnel units into the Protoss player's base. So that is going to be our response of choice for this game. But as far as just this early defense, what you should do to prevent getting wiped out early, you just want to make sure you're pumping out some Zerglings. Get a second queen, definitely. That transfusion is very, very beneficial. As you can see, we're going to be using the Creep Tumor ability to spread our creep over and get a Spine Crawler right on this edge. Now the goal in doing this, I'll take a look at the vision here, is you want to get vision of these cannons, or this pylon, or these zealots, and then just use your Spine Crawler to poke at them. Now defend your Spine Crawler. That's another reason you want to get two queens. Use the transfuse ability to keep your Spine Crawler up as it pokes at these buildings and these units. And that's going to be our first attempt at trying to get this frontal block off eliminated, basically. Just trying to get rid of this frontal block. We're just trying to find a good location where Spine Crawler is going to be in reach, but again, not in reach from the photon cannons. Now the problem is, for the Zerg player, anywhere the Spine Crawler can hit the photon cannon can hit the Spine Crawler, as long as they have vision from these Zealots. So what we want to do here is we want to put the Spine Crawler in a spot that's going to poke off these Zealots and prevent them from maintaining the vision that they have. So as you can see, we're moving up, trying to engage. He's trying to take out the Spine Crawler because he knows that that's going to stop him from continuing this wall in. Not able to quite do it yet. And just taking a look here, this is our transition. This is our response. We get a Roach Warren, and we're getting a layer. Now, after the layer's up, we're going to be getting the Nidus Worm, and then shortly thereafter, once a Nidus Worm is created, we're going to be putting it in the back of his base. Use one of your overlords that you've made to scout around the edge of your opponent's base. Try to get some vision in a spot that they're unlikely to really be. As you can see, if you look at the Protoss player, there's a whole ring around the base that they aren't really having constant vision on, and that's the kind of spot that you want to drop the Nidus Worm in. Back here, just a little bit of engagement. We're not really going in so much as to the proper microing and stuff. We all know, have a general idea of how to micro and what to do. Again, the goal here as the Zerg player is to try to get rid of this, and if that doesn't work, then we're going to fall back on this Nidus network and the Nidus Worm. We're going to be using roaches and speedlings in order to counter this. Roaches are going to do very good against the stalkers and against the zealots rather, and the speedlings do very well against the stalkers. Also, speedlings are going to do really well once you get that Nidus Worm up and taking out the mineral patch of the Protoss player. So that's kind of the goal. That's kind of the idea here. So as you can see, we are going to be researching the Glail reconstitution here. Also going to be getting the roaches up into the Nidus Worm. Now, the Protoss player had yet to see this. He is still unaware. But in a very short amount of time, he's going to get an audio clue as to... There it is. An audio clue telling him that something is amiss. So as you see, we're going to be loading up our Zerglings and our Roaches, trying to attack the mineral line of this Protoss player here. Now, Protoss player is sitting at the front of their base, but luckily we are defended because of these two queens, because of the spine crawler we have coming in, and also these Roaches that are coming through right now. That's going to be able to defend against this. And in the meantime, you want to be having your Roaches in their base, trying to take them out as best as possible, trying to disrupt their mineral line. Again, Roaches are very, very strong units. They're very, very strong early game units. They just have a lot of health. They can take a lot of damage. They're basically like damage sponges. Now, once we warded off a wave that the Protoss player sent in, we're going to load back up our Nidus network and spit out some more. Just try to keep this pressure constant. Protoss player does end up taking out the Nidus Worm in this case. That's something you do want to avoid if possible. But luckily you are just able to rebuild it right away, and as long as you keep this pressure up, they're not going to be able to kill it while it's rebuilding. And that's exactly what we're doing right here, just keeping the pressure up, trying to keep these roaches pumping out. So basically what happened here, how did this work out? Well, we got walled in, and our response was to get some means of escaping our base and try to get some pressure on the Protoss player. And you can't just sit in your base all day and try to tech up, because they're going to have such a huge advantage. They're going to be able to expand, and they're going to be able to just take total map control, and they're going to have so many more resources than you running off one base. There's really very little chance that you're going to have of winning. Another key note, try to take out these key pylons. This one is a perfect example. Taking out this pylon unpowered these 3 warp gates, so now the Protoss player is not going to be able to have any more reinforcements. And that's pretty much that. Good game at this point. Not too much Protoss player is going to be able to do. So we're going to be taking a quick overview here. Pretty sure the Protoss player is about to leave. Again, there's not too much he's just going to be able to do at this point. There we go. Calls good game finally. So back to the overview. We got walled in from the Protoss player. Our response is to try to get out. We tried with the spine crawler. Didn't really work. It was effective to some degree. It stopped him from pushing very far forward, but the real goal there was to get that Nidus network up and get into the Protoss player's base through gaining vision from the Overlord and spawning the Nidus Worm right in their base. Pumping out again, Speedlings and Roaches, very good response to that. Once more, Speedlings counter the Stalkers pretty hard, and Roaches do very, very well against Zealots. As far as the timing and everything is concerned, it's more about the response than it is the timing. Again, we saw the wall in, and we responded by getting the Roach Warren, teching up to a layer, and then getting that Nidus network so we could get out of our base and into our opponents and subsequently win the game. So once again, guys, this has been for StarCraft 2 Strategy, your #1 location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. Please do stay tuned for future videos. Keep watching and keep owning, guys.